Welcome to the Natural Health Show with one of New England's leading natural health care specialists, Mark Mincola. Call Mark at 781-837-4900 on 95.9 WATD. He's waiting to hear from you.
Welcome home, Natural Health Nation. As always, great to have you with us, and we're here to talk with you this evening about a very dark topic, a topic that so many people are unfortunately all too familiar with. We're talking about cancer, but as we do, we're going to talk about it from a very positive vantage point because the title of tonight's broadcast is The Truth About Beating Cancer Naturally, and the truth is cancer can be beaten naturally, and that's the key to the program. Conventional medicine defines cancer as a colony of malignant cells or a tumor. And I think that the key really here is that 600,000 Americans die from cancer every year. 1.5 million are diagnosed each year. But as far back as 1972, we got a clear message from actually government research from a Senate subcommittee, the first of its kind, the first Senate subcommittee, the McGovern Committee, chaired by then Senator George McGovern from Dakota. And the message was that after hearing testimony, 15 senators heard testimony from 1,100 of the world's foremost researchers and scientists from 8 different countries. And they found that these experts suggested that as much as 30% of all cancer-related deaths were preventable through diet and nutrition alone. That was 1972. So for us to have the message from the conventional orthodoxy suggesting that the only way that cancer can be beaten, if at all treated and if at all beaten, by obviously chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. But is that really all there is? Again, if we've got a Senate subcommittee report from as far back as 1972 that tells us that as many as 30% of those 600,000 cancer deaths every year are preventable through diet and nutrition alone. That same Senate subcommittee report told us that 60% of the average American diet was comprised of fat and sugar. That'll be a really important point that we're going to make tonight because, as you'll find out in a few moments, Nobel Prize research suggests that sugar is a major role player in the chemistry of cancer. And that's the real key, is that when we think about cancer, we unfortunately are sort of blindsided by the establishment that suggests that surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, that's it. Game over. That's all there is. And that's just not the truth. That's not the way it is. People are generally led to believe that. They're also led to believe, by the way, I think this is another really key point, that chemotherapy is relatively effective. I can't tell you the number of patients that I work with over the course of a year and over the course of 30 years that I've asked the question, did you discuss with your oncologist what the probability factors are, what the numbers are? Is it a wise decision for you to choose chemotherapy? Well, no, it's the only decision. The way it's positioned, it is the only decision. There's no other options because they do not embrace the notion that there could be alternatives, and indeed there are. But regardless, 2004, the Journal of Clinical Oncology published a report. The Journal of Clinical Oncology said the 5-year survival rate of those folks that are treated with chemotherapy is 2.1%. 2004, Journal of Clinical Oncology. Those folks who are indeed treated by chemotherapy, those cancer patients who are treated by chemotherapy, have a 5-year survival of 2.1%. So is there a more viable alternative? Is there an alternative at all? Once again, the conventional orthodoxy doesn't acknowledge it in any way, shape, or form. In fact, one of the more confusing and upsetting aspects to this whole reality, so many of my patients obviously, who are undergoing dual therapy. They undergo both nutritional therapy and chemotherapy, both. They take their supplements, they eat their healthy, organic foods, eat properly, support themselves dietarily, and choose to do the chemo with it. Many folks will make that decision, and many oncologists will insist that they take more milkshakes, more ice cream to fatten up. Got to gain weight. The emphasis is on gaining weight, not in qualifying how the weight is gained, unfortunately. We have somebody like Dr. Otto Warburg, who won 2 Nobel Prizes in medicine, who said the primary cause of cancer is the fermentation of sugar. 2-time Nobel Prize winner. So this Nobel Prize winner tells us that sugar is directly correlative as one of the prime causes of cancer. And my patients still have oncologists insisting that the best way for them to gain weight is ice cream. A lot of confusion. We're going to try to straighten a lot of it out. There's a lot of interesting research that we're going to discuss as well. Tonight, we're going to talk about the truth about beating cancer naturally. My name is Mark Mincola. You're listening to The Natural Health Show. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Good health. We believe that through a healthy lifestyle and diet, everyone can achieve lasting health. Organic, truly all-natural, and non-GMO foods and vitamins are what we do best. We bring you quality products with no artificial preservatives or toxins. We also have the largest selection of gluten-free, dairy-free foods in the state. We don't try to be something we're not. We're just a neighborhood market with real total body wellness solutions, wholesome foods, and products that work. We stand behind our products with solid research and science, empowering customers through our extensive product literature and our knowledgeable associates. We've received numerous magazine awards and we're ranked #1 in holistic and organic health and beauty products. Learn more at goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Come see us in Quincy and Hanover. We're open 7 days a week and there's plenty of parking. So come see why we're different. Cutting-edge products and world-class customer care. Be sure to watch for our opening of our new Good Health Market in Quincy Center. Thanks for listening. Safe and happy holidays.
You know, when most people hear the word allergies, they think only of hay fever-like symptoms associated with airborne pollen, dust, and mold. But did you know that many experts estimate that between 60 and 80 million of us suffer from immune-related food allergies without even knowing it? Furthermore, food allergies often contribute to serious health problems such as autism, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD, headaches, and chronic ear infections. Now, there's an effective way to identify and eliminate both your food allergies and the troubling symptoms that they aggravate. Allotest Medical Labs at foodallergy.com offers a full complement of clinical, environmental, and food allergy testing to help you get to the root of your allergy problems. Allotest also provides you with a comprehensive rotation diet, lifestyle booklet, and a wallet card to help you live food allergy-free and stress-free. Do you wonder if you or your loved ones are among the 60 to 80 million food allergy sufferers in America? If so, log on to Allotest Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Talk to your doctor about ordering a food allergy test from Allotest Medical Labs today. Foodallergy.com. Make sure the food you're eating isn't what's depleting you.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Allotest Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
You are looking marvelous. We want you thinking and eating marvelous as well. So we're trying to get you straight about some confusion here. There's an awful lot of it, especially when you talk about cancer and the natural approach to contending with it, preventing it, treating it. More and more folks are becoming aware of the options, the alternatives, if you will. Nonetheless, conventional medicine defines cancer as a colony of malignant cells or a tumor, series of tumors, anomalies, or growths, and insists that there are no alternatives. There's only surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. Once again, a report published in the 2004 Journal of Clinical Oncology states that a five-year survival rate, of those cancer patients treated with chemotherapy is 2.1%. 2.1%. Yet, as far back as 1972, the Senate Subcommittee on Health and Human Needs, the first nutrition study of its kind, 6-year study, heard from 1,100 of the world's foremost experts from 8 different countries. Their report clearly stated that 1/3 or 30%, just under one-third. 30% of all those who die annually from cancer could be saved through diet alone. That was paid for by your taxpayers' dollars. Of course, nobody knows of the report. But there have been updates that have been pretty much aligned with these results as well. So we've done our due diligence in a government study or two or three to make sure that people did get the message. Food matters. Food clearly matters here. So it is part of the alternative process, understanding that cancer just doesn't happen. We have 8 myopathic pathways within our body that are genetic pathways. I refer to them as torpedo doors. You're born with those. We all have a map, a genetic map, and each one is unique, of course, to the chemistry of different family lines. And the tendencies are within your gene map to express themselves. And it's a question of whether they get triggered, whether those torpedo doors get triggered open or not. Diet is one of the significant triggers, according to a lot of nutrigenomic research. Nutrigenomic means nutritional gene-based studies. So the nutritional gene-based studies indicate that food is a significant player at changing your chemistry in such a way that triggers the expression of cancer within your gene map. It's a really important way to look at that. But from the biochemical perspective, cancer cells produce lactic acid, which is then dumped back into the blood. The blood carries that lactic acid to the liver, where it is then converted back into glucose to feed the cancer cells. So it's a cycle. It's called a cyclogeny. Along comes Dr. Otto Warburg in the mid to late 60s. Again, a 2-time Nobel Prize winner is Dr. Warburg. He did 40 years of cancer research. A lot of what his Nobel Prize work is all about. His quote, "The prime cause of cancer is the replacement of the respiration of normal cells by a fermentation of sugar." A fermentation of sugar, and again, it has been well documented since his time of the mid-60s in many, many studies that serum glucose, or your sugar levels, and the advancement of cancer are synonymous. So the advancement of cancer is synonymous with these elevated serum glucose or elevated sugar levels, blood sugar levels. That's because cancer is an obligate anaerobe. It doesn't like oxygen. Cancer is a biochemical system of anaerobic fermentation. Healthy cells and homeostasis, a biochemical system of aerobic respiration. Think of your cells as mini-me's. They're always going uphill. The more oxygen they get, the better they are. The healthier they are, the longer they live. Cancer is a robber of oxygen. It doesn't respond well, and it doesn't live in the presence of oxygen. There's a remarkable, simple process that I always share with my patients to try to get a read on some of your chemistry as to whether your chemistry is leaning in the direction of being favorable for cancer development or not. I understand, any physicians listening out there, that your blood pH doesn't change radically. I get that. But there are many other subsystems that do. Urine is one of those systems that changes pretty dramatically. Urine shifts between about 5.0 and 8.0. Anything under 6.4 is too acidic. I say the basic target range for pH is about 6.4. 6.4 is desirable. Good Health has the urine strips. You go down, you get those urine strips. You urinate on that strip first thing in the morning, and your numbers should be about 6.4 to 6.8. That's the perfect range. If they're under 6.4, your body is a good host for trouble. Too acidic. Every tenth of a point below 6.4 is equal to 64.9% oxygen deficiency. I'll say it one more time. The ideal number, if you're urinating on that strip, is 6.4. Every tenth of a point below that is equal to almost 65% oxygen deficiency. So if you're 0.2 of a point below 6.4, if you're 6.2, you're 130% oxygen deficient at a cell level. So how do you alkalize? How do you produce a favorable chemistry, a good immune-based chemistry, a very oxygen-rich chemistry? Again, cancer doesn't like oxygen. Cancer is an obligate anaerobe. It likes fermentation and sugar. The best way you can oxygenate your cells and prevent cancer and strengthen your immunity in the face of cancer, if you're fighting cancer, is plenty of green, leafy veggies. And not to be deficient in your water consumption. Your hydration is equally important. Those green vegetables are extremely important, believe me. Also, avoiding fermented foods. We just said repeatedly the primary cause of cancer is the fermentation of sugar. So you want to keep your fermentation levels down as well. The vinegars, the marinades, the beer, wine, the champagne, you got to cool it a little bit. The yeasty breads. There's a Dr. Tullio Simoncini from Italy who's gained world acclaim for his book. He sold over 5 million copies globally. It's called Cancer is a Fungus. He did over 1,100 biopsies and noticed that within the core of every tumor there was a very powerful presence of something white, distinctly white, like mold. It's exactly what he found, is that at the core of all cancer, at the nucleus of all cancer, at the tumor sites, is mold, fungus, one and the same. He defined this white mold, or this white fungus at the core of the tumor sites, as a candida bacteria, like fungal bacteria. Again, tying in directly with the statement made by the two-time Nobel Prize winner Warburg, who said that cancer, the thing that drives cancer, the primary cause of cancer, is the fermentation of sugar. Fermentation produces fungus and mold. So Simoncini and Warburg are on the same path, on the same wavelength. Years later, all these years later, Warburg's vision is coming clear for all of us here about this process. Also, we want to make sure that people understand that you can actually alkalize yourself. If, in fact, you're eating a lot of vegetables and you're still very acidic, you can use chlorophyll and baking soda to try to alkalize yourself. In fact, Dr. Simoncini has a clinic in Italy that's a cancer treatment clinic. They're using bicarbonate of soda and portacaths with baking soda between 5.8 and 8.2%. And they're driving the baking soda directly to the site of the tumors, and they're shrinking tumors in 3 to 4 days. Of course, they wouldn't allow that to happen in this country because he came over here and they said, see you later, goodbye. We'll have none of it here. Meanwhile, you can't get in the clinic in Italy. It's booked out. The whole world is knocking on Simoncini's door. Not allowed here, though. White, moldy fungus at the core of every tumor. From a lot of sugar and fermentation, which cultivate it. It's about thinking about cancer from the biochemical and the genetic perspective. And the best way to actually think about fighting it with nature on your side is to be thinking about it from the perspective of supporting your homeostasis, strengthening your immune system. Because the good news is cancer's preferences and your body's preferences are totally opposite. So if you're supporting your immunity and your chemistry, you're antagonizing cancer. Cancer is an obligate anaerobe. The human body is an obligate aerobe. It loves oxygen. Your cells love oxygen. Cancer cells hate it. The more you alkaline, the more vegetables you eat, the more you increase the oxygen delivery to your cells, the more miserable you make cancer cells. There's one other really important aspect as well, besides the fermentation of sugar, which needs to be clearly etched in your mind as the problem numero uno when it comes to cancer. Number 2, inflammation. I'm aware of the fact that most folks think of inflammation as tennis elbow. 72% of all disease is the result of the chemistry of what we now know as inflammation. There are 3 biochemical pathways in your body. 3 biochemical pathways. One is neutral, one is inflammatory, one is anti-inflammatory. These are assembly lines. These are biochemical assembly lines. The food you eat and the fats that they produce are the precursors for the hormones that your assembly lines manufacture. Every hormone in the human body is manufactured from the raw material of fat. If you don't have the fat, you can't have a hormone. So there's 3 classifications of fats that produce 3 distinctly different types of classifications of hormones. Prostaglandin 1, 2, and 3. There's your 3 columns. COX-1, COX-2, COX-3. 1, 2, and 3. And 1 is neutral, 2 is inflammatory, 3 is anti. Now, we said it all starts with what? Fat produces hormones. Where do you get fat from? Food. You guessed it. So if you're consuming a lot of foods that are from column 2, a lot of the inflammatory foods, you're generating problem number 2 when it comes to cancer. Problem number 1 is the fermentation of sugar. We made that point pretty clear. Problem number 2 is inflammation. And if you're eating a lot of the foods in column 2, which are red meat, dairy, nuts, egg yolks in particular, fermented foods again, sugars, white flour products, those are your inflammatory foods, the insulin-triggering foods. If you eat a lot of that stuff, and you're eating a lot of fermentation, a lot of vinegars and beer, wine, champagne, and yeasty breads, then you are tipping the scales. At the Strang Cancer Research Center in New York, Dr. Mitch Gaynor, who is the director of medical oncology, and his staff found that elevated COX-2 levels, the inflammatory foods that we just talked, the levels from the COX-2 inflammation we just talked about, the high levels of peanuts and red meat and dairy products, etc., that produce a fat called arachidonic acid. Elevated diets such as that they found high levels of those inflammatory fats in every solid tumor that they looked at, including lung, breast, prostate, bladder, and colon cancer. Now, here's what they also found. Listen closely. At the Strang Cancer Research Center in New York, Dr. Mitch Gaynor, who is, again, the director of medical oncology, said, "We've also found that when you inhibit the inflammatory COX-2 hormones in the body, the cancer cells stop growing." That was a statement made again by the director of medical oncology, Dr. Mitch Gaynor, at the Strang Cancer Research Center in New York. We have found that when you inhibit the inflammatory COX-2 hormones, the cancer cells stop growing. Therein is the gist of what we're talking about tonight, that you do have biochemistry on your side. There is a truth about beating cancer naturally that has been proven by scientific research, by medical doctors, that the cancer establishment is not chatting too much about. All you hear from them is chemo, surgery, and radiation. That's the conventional orthodox hardline. But again, Dr. Mitch Gaynor, who's the director of medical oncology, said that they found that when they inhibited COX-2 enzymes, the inflammatory enzymes, cancer cells stop growing. So you've got a 2-time Nobel Prize winner. You want science? Science doesn't go any further than that. That is the pinnacle of science, the Nobel Prize. Dr. Otto Warburg, 1966. The prime cause of cancer is the fermentation of sugar. Now, years later, you've got Dr. Mitch Gaynor, the director of medical oncology at the Strain Cancer Research Center in New York, saying that by inhibiting the inflammatory COX-2 hormones in the body, cancer cells stop growing. In all solid tumors they looked at, including lung, breast, prostate, bladder, colon cancer. We've got some remarkable information that really creates a tremendous amount of hope, inspiration, education as to how to eat, how to live, how to take better care of yourself, how to make a difference, how to program your chemistry in a way to keep you happy and alive and living a nice, long, prosperous life. And when we come back from these messages, we're going to talk a little bit more with you about the natural truth about cancer. And my name is Mark Mincola. You're listening to The Natural Health Show. Stay right where you are. I'll be right back. Hi, this is Mark Mincola. You know, over the past decade, The Natural Health Show has attracted many thousands of avid listeners. I'd like to extend an open invitation to all potential new sponsors to join our Natural Health Show family. If you own a Heart Smart lighter fare or seafood restaurant, a fitness or day spa, or if you're an allied health professional or coach, The Natural Health Show is the perfect place for you to make the direct connection with your demographic target. If you really want to zero in and aim the message of your vision directly at those who want to most know about it, join the Natural Health Show family of sponsors. I promise you'll be glad you did. For information, call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. With the burgeoning growth of the Natural Health Show, now's the perfect time to share in that growth together.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Alites Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
Alrighty, and one of these fine days soon, I hope, Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy will be announcing the grand opening, finally, of their new store, and I'm pretty excited about it. The Quincy store is where the Blockbuster Video was, so they're going to have a lot more square footage there, and free parking and plenty of it. One of the things a lot of folks are going to really enjoy about the new store is parking is no stress. That's a good thing. So soon that'll be happening. I'm going to do a book signing down there and meet a lot of you lovely people, so I look forward to that, and we'll announce that when that happens. I'm looking forward to the moment when we can break that news, and we will do so as soon as we get that chance. So I know they're working very, very hard down at the Quincy store to get things ready for you, so keep your ears and eyes peeled. That's going to be a great event. And we're talking with you tonight about your great immune system and your wonderful human body and how to keep it healthy and strong for as long as we possibly can here, especially in the face of the dread disease called cancer. And again, there's an awful lot of folks that are that have been smitten by cancer. The numbers are astounding. 600,000 Americans die of cancer every year. That's just incredible. 1.5 million diagnosed each and every year. And again, a report that goes back as far as 1972. The Senate Subcommittee report, the McGovern Committee report on health and human needs, specifically focusing on nutrition, took a real good look at the way we eat and what we're doing to ourselves, and gave estimates as to what we could do about preventing disease and strengthening our immunity in the face of disease. They looked at all disease. They looked at it in the backdrop of our present eating habits and what better eating could do to make a difference, etc. And again, 1,100 experts from 8 different countries made it very clear that 30% of the 600,000 Americans that die of cancer every year, 30%, would be 180,000 people. Imagine a large city of 180,000 people is like leaving the country every year, just literally floating up to the heavens. And it doesn't have to happen because according to these researchers, these experts in nutrition that actually gave their testimony to the McGovern Committee report as far back as 1972, we could save that many American lives if they got this kind of information and worked with it. And surely I've been working with people in under these circumstances and in this fashion for 30 years. I just had a woman in my office this week who had a 4-centimeter growth gone. And that isn't the first time that's ever happened in my world. Believe me, that happens a lot more regularly than I ever believed it ever would. So there are some really important bits of information here that I hope you latch right on to. But we talked about food pretty extensively at the first part of the program. Just to recap real quickly, taking our guidance from a 2-time Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Otto Warburg, if you want to put together a chemistry, if you want to cultivate an immune chemistry that is favorable to beating the disease and preventing the disease, it's extremely important, according to Warburg, 2-time Nobel Prize winner, that we avoid a lot of fermented foods and a lot of sugary foods. Point number two, you want to make sure you make the connection that inflammation is pretty serious business. It's responsible for 72% of all diseases. Over 100 diseases, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, colitis, etc., all these inflammatory conditions. Over 100 of them that are directly correlated with what we call inflammatory biochemistry. So there's ways that you can anti-inflame your chemistry, lowering the risks of all these inflammatory conditions, including cancer, by eating anti-inflammatory foods. So number 2 message is anti-inflammation via diet. So cut down on the red meats, cut down on the egg yolks and the peanuts, cut down on the dairy products. Let's grab a call. Art from Somerville, welcome to the Natural Health Show.
Hi, Dr. McCullough.
How are you doing?
Good. I was wondering, could you suggest, I have 2 questions. The first is, could you suggest anything for depression? At least moderate and slightly above. Any thoughts on that?
Well, sure. I think that if it's moderate, I think that's something that's probably fairly manageable. You want to increase your serotonin levels, maybe your GABA levels in your brain. You want to be careful, obviously, about what you eat. You want to make sure that you're not taking yourself up and down. If you're taking a lot of caffeine, a lot of sweets, driving your cortisol and your glucose levels high and low.
No, I haven't been doing that.
That's good. All right. Well, then you might try a couple basic things here. You might think about using some 5-HTP or some St. John's wort or some St. John's, because these are serotonin support systems. These are natural ways to get your serotonin levels up in the brain.
So 5-HTP and St. John's wort might be decent to try.
Hydroxytryptophan is actually pretty good. It's 50 milligram capsule is not uncommon. You'll find that in about any health food store. Now brand is pretty available.
I've heard of L-tryptophan. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, tryptophan as well. Sure, of course. There's more than one way to get those.
So you could take several of these together?
Yeah, but I don't think there's any need for that. I think if I was going to put together a blend of strategic supplements here, I'd probably choose otherwise. I'd probably take one serotonin reuptake, either the hydroxytryptophan, or you could do the St. John's wort, like I said, or perhaps you could take a little bit of GABA, GABA.
Okay.
And there's I'd also take a look at maybe using a Bach flower remedy, using something like mustard drops, to do 3 drops 3 times a day. So to do combinations of those things, and I think that if you're taking the proper dosage of 5-HTP, that's the most important thing. A lot of people don't take enough. It's usually 50 milligrams. I would say you'd have to take 200 a day, so 50 and 50 twice in the morning, twice in the afternoon. Also, you want to take it on an empty stomach because it's a free-form amino acid.
I see. Okay. My second question was, have a lot of difficulty focusing and avoiding things, and just focusing like ADD, not hyperactive ADD, but just difficulty focusing.
Well, I'd recommend dimethylaminoethanol. DMAE is actually good for both focus and mood, so you could get two birds with one stone there. DMAE, dimethylaminoethanol.
Okay.
200 milligrams, 2 to 3 a day.
Okay. Anything besides that for that kind of...
Oh, I don't think you need anything besides that. I think that works pretty well.
Hey, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate the show.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, to get back on point here, we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements, as we just did, but we're going to talk about supplements as they apply to natural fight against cancer. And there's some, again, remarkable research out there on products that I've used and had great success with. Jefferson Medical College down in Philadelphia in February 2009, Dr. Huwaida Arafat studied the anti-cancer properties of black cumin seed oil. I'm going to say that again. Black cumin, sounds like a spice because it is. Black cumin seeds produce an oil. Again, good fat, bad fat. We're back to that idea of really reformatting, reprogramming hormones in the body as being anti-inflammatory versus inflammatory fats. So black cumin seed oil was studied for its thymoquinones. There's some very, 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 very powerful antioxidants in black cumin seed oil called thymoquinones. And again, Dr. Huwaida Arafat made it very clear that she and her staff of researchers down at the Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia in February 2009 found that black cumin seed oil indeed had the ability to produce apoptosis. Apoptosis, translation, cancer cell death. Kills cancer cells. Black cumin seed oil. So there are capsules, I know, at Good Health. We've brought them in. I actually called them after I found out about all this research back in 2009. Ordered them, got them right in there. So 500 milligram capsules, I usually recommend 2 capsules 3 times a day for purposes of treating, and maybe just 2 a day for prevention purposes. Black cumin seed oil, 500 milligram caps, 2 to prevent, 6 to treat. So that is available research. You can check that out. It's pretty easy to find that research on the internet. Also, I wanted to bring up 2 other really important supplements that I really think very highly of. Ecological Formulas is a terrific company. They're the folks that make monolaurin, which I'm very impressed with and have been over the years as an antiviral agent, antifungal, antiprotozoal, antibacterial. And Ecological Formulas also has something called ellagic acid. ELLAGIC, ellagic acid. Capsules, 500 milligrams. Once again, based on research, I did an interview years ago with Dr. Daniel Nixon, not to be confused with former President Richard Nixon, who was a buffoon. But anyway, I couldn't resist, I'm sorry. But Dr. Daniel Nixon is a brilliant man, and he did some remarkable research. And we're thankful that he did, because he's helped many, many folks in their plight against cancer. But this is a researcher who is a professor as well at the University of South Carolina Medical School, the Hollings Cancer Research Institute. The Hollings Cancer Research Institute at the University of South Carolina Medical School. He told me that for 9 years, they researched the antioxidant within the seeds, the little tiny seeds of raspberries and strawberries. The seeds actually produce an antioxidant called ellagic acid that caused 2 things in their research: consistent apoptosis, or cancer cell death, and what's called G-arrest. G-arrest, which means that it arrests the cancer cells from replication, from the genetic replication. So it both killed cancer cells and arrested their genetic replication. The seeds from berries. The equivalent of 3/4 of a cup of raspberries did the job. It did so in quite short order as well, because they found that it killed cancer cells in 48 hours and caused the G arrest in 72 hours. So it worked pretty efficiently in short order. Nature did a fine job. Nature never fails. She's been forgotten, and she is grossly misunderstood, but she never fails. Remarkable research. Again, that was done by Dr. Daniel, not Richard, Nixon. His work was mirrored by Dr. Gary Stoner from Ohio State University, who spent 20 years studying the very same effects of ellagic acid from berries and found the exact same response for 9 different types of human cancer, by the way. So along comes Ecological Formulas, a terrific vitamin company. Ecological Formulas produced a product called ellagic acid. And all it is crushed, dehydrated seeds from berries that are isolated ellagic acid. So that if folks are interested in building up their immunity, folks are interested in striking a blow against the disease, that they could perhaps take 3 500 milligram capsules a day of Ecological Formulas ellagic acid. Finally, the third supplement is probably I saved the best for last. But the black cumin seed is a terrific product. The ellagic acid is a terrific product. They are absolutely superior. But I saved the best for last. There's a product made by Nature's Sunshine Herbs. Nature's Sunshine Herbs. It's called Cell Reg. C-E-L-L. And the second word is R-E-G. It's cell regenerator, but they call it Cell Reg. What exactly is Cell Reg? It's an herb called pawpaw, P-A-W-P-A-W. It's 16.5 milligrams of pawpaw. I recommend 3 a day in the fight against cancer. Pawpaw has been studied for 25 years at Purdue University in Indiana by Dr. Jerry McLaughlin, who is considered the world's foremost expert on pawpaw, a remarkable herb. Pawpaw, it has something in it called ananaceous acetogenins. Ananaceous acetogenins, which increase the adenosine triphosphate production within the cell. As we told you earlier, cancer is an obligate anaerobe. It hates oxygen. It hates it when we produce energy against it in the fight against it. The ananaceous acetogenins that are in pawpaw, the herb that you can obtain from Nature's Sunshine Herbs Cell Reg, it's 16.5 milligrams, 3 a day, is safe and effective. Dr. Jerry McLaughlin at Purdue University found that pawpaw killed cancer cells that were resistant to radiation. There were multi-resistancies that were checked in these studies as well. So in other words, cancer cells that were resistant to a multiplicity of different drugs and multi-resistant as well to radiation were not resistant to the pawpaw. The pawpaw killed them. So it was found to be safe and found to be effective. Dr. Jerry McLaughlin from Purdue University also found that the pawpaw was more effective than the chemotherapy called cisplatin. It was much more powerful, much more effective than cisplatin in his independent research. And again, he's been studying pawpaw as an herb for 25 years, considered the world's most advanced expert in the area. So how do you obtain pawpaw? I don't think Good Health has it on the shelves. I don't think that they're able to get it, but you can get it on the internet pretty easily. I've talked to Good Health over the years, and I know they've efforted it. I know they've tried to make that happen, but there's a glitch of some kind, a marketing glitch or some such thing. I'm not sure what it is. But Nature's Sunshine Herbs is readily available on the internet. And once again, those are 16.5 milligram caps. I'd recommend 3 to 4 a day. A lot of folks are familiar with the herb graviola. Folks who've been doing battle with cancer in natural terms. I know a lot of people are using Essiac tea and graviola and things like that. Graviola is pretty much the same as pawpaw. The pawpaw is stronger. Pawpaw has a lot of similarities biochemically to the graviola. It is simply more powerful. So if you want the best natural substance you possibly can find in the health food industry, you'd find pawpaw, P-A-W-P-A-W. So the most important way that you're going to, if in fact you have a loved one or you're unfortunately facing cancer on your own, there's something I want you to look into in terms of figuring out whether you're making a difference with some of the suggestions we're making, some of the dietary suggestions, some of the supplement suggestions. We've made quite a few. They're time-tested. They work. They've been very effective for a lot of folks. Cutting-edge recommendations. How do you know they're working? When we come back from these messages, we're going to talk about a simple test. It's a blood test that you need to know about if you or your loved ones are fighting with cancer. And you need to do a little research because this blood test we're going to talk about is 99.9% accurate, and it's pretty simple to do. And it tells you whether or not you're improving your immunity or not, and whether what you're doing is having an effect. You at least want to seize the growth and the development of cancer, at the very least. And this test will help you do that. When we come back, we'll chat about that. Stay tuned.
Are you one of the 20 million Americans suffering from neuropathy, shingles, or chronic nerve pain? In the last 3 years, many people have discovered excellent and affordable treatment for diabetic, post-chemotherapy, and other types of neuropathy and chronic pain. Dr. John Hayes, chiropractic physician since 1981 on Route 53 in Norwell, has had such astounding results with his unique neuropathy program that he's now teaching his remarkable system to doctors around the country. His most recent book, entitled Beating Neuropathy, remains a bestseller. In fact, Dr. John Hayes is the world's exclusive educator and trainer for Rebuilder Medical Technologies. Call Dr. Hayes' office 24/7 to schedule a free neuropathy analysis. Call 781-659-7989. That's 781-659-7989. Call now while free neuropathy analysis slots are open.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Alites Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
All righty, welcome back. We missed Dr. John Hayes. He did such a great job here for so long, and kind of miss hearing his golden throngs. He did such a superb job, and I know he's still making his wonderful contribution to natural medicine out there, and we hope he stops by and says hi one of these fine days. We look forward to that. All right, we, as promised, want to tell you about a way that you can actually determine whether or not you're having a positive effect. You can take a look at, on the internet, at Onco Labs, O-N-C-O, Onco Labs. Again, O-N-C-O, Onco. And they're located up in the greater Boston area. And they offer a test that's called the AMAS test, Anti-Malignant Antibody Screen. There's a Dr. Samuel Bogich, who back in the 70s, he was from Harvard, and he figured that we produce antibodies for just about everything bad that can happen. The common cold, pollen allergies, et cetera, we always produce these antibodies. He thought we must produce an antibody for cancer, and nobody ever discovered it. So he did indeed discover it. And besides discovering the cancer antibody, he decided that what he was going to do is put together a test that actually determined to what extent the cancer existed in our body, so you can map it out. The range goes from 0 to 700. It's quite an extensive range. Anything over 130 is abnormally high. Anything between 100 and 130 is borderline, and anything under 100 is normal. So if you had an AMAS test done, and imagine if we really were interested in preventive medicine here in America. Imagine if we really cared. Imagine if we cared more about preventing disease than having the disease processes paid for. Disease is big biz. We don't want to cure disease. But if we really did want to cure cancer, if we really did want to prevent it and make a great all-out effort to prevent the disease, then it would be, the AMAS test would be part of our general yearly physical, our annual physical. Because Bogich's work, 3,315 double-blind determinants, 3,315 double-blind determinants found that this test is 99.9% accurate. And it's a blood test. And it ranges between 0 and 700 in terms of your score. So it gives you a very detailed and an in-depth picture as to just what extent your cancer prospects or issues are, if indeed at all. But it's a blood test. So if you go onto Onco Labs, just check it out, do a search for ONCO Labs, and look for the AMAS test, AMAS, AMAS, anti-malignant antibody screening. And I've had patients say, geez, I'd like to just get that done just to see if where my numbers are. The lower under 100 you are, the better you are. But where are you? It's a great thing to know. And more specifically, back to the point here, if you or someone you love is contending with cancer and they want to make a contribution by rolling up their sleeves and doing their own work, eating the way we talked about, taking the supplements that we talked about tonight, and wonder if it's making a difference, you go get the blood test and you have a baseline. And if your baseline started off as 105 and you got into this kind of an eating program and you took care of yourself, took your supplements, and you retested your blood in 2 or 3 months, and you went from 105 to a 60, it's a pretty good indication that you're pointed in the right direction. I always tell people you don't want to have to guess. If you're working hard, you deserve better. You deserve hard information, and it's a great way to get it. So that's the Onco Labs AMAS test, anti-malignant antibody screen. And one last thing I want to say about that. We talked earlier at the very beginning of the broadcast about pH, about your urinary pH. What I've seen consistently over the years, consistently, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, is the higher your pH, the lower your AMAS. Think about what that's saying. It's saying the more alkaline you are, the lower your cancer antibody numbers are. Once again, no big surprise. Cancer is an obligate anaerobe. Healthy cells love oxygen. So we've seen consistently over and over and over that the more alkaline you are, the more chlorophyll you take, baking soda, the more you eat properly and take good care of yourself and get your rest, yada, yada, yada. The higher your pH, the more alkaline you are, and the lower your AMAS test is, the healthier your cancer test is. So we find that consistently, and I always want to encourage everybody, if you do nothing else, if you don't do anything else, at least get on down to Good Health Natural Foods, get the urinary strips, check your first morning's urine from time to time, and if it's a little bit on the acid side, again, you want it between 6.4 and 6.8. The entire range goes from 5.0 to 8.0. You want to be 6.4 to 6.8, right in the target range. If you're under 6.4, take your chlorophyll, take your baking soda, and try to buffer it up a little bit. If you do nothing but that, you're doing a real good thing. I promise you that. Wow, this hour goes by pretty quickly. What do you say, Ryan? Goes by pretty fast? We got a Patriots score, do we? It's still 14-13?
Yes, it is.
14-13, Patriots are on the downside. They got to alkalize those boys. All right, so we want to make sure that everybody knows where the website is. Anybody interested in this information and following up a little bit more and taking a peek at all the freebies we got on there and all the different video. We're giving it away. We're giving it up. All the years of Fox television I've done and all the years I've done of New England cable news, producing segments with information such as you've heard this evening. It's maxhealing.com. It's M-A-X healing, one word. Easy enough to remember, maxhealing.com. Check it out. If you got questions, drop me a quick email and I'll try to answer it for you. We want to make sure that you are on the good foot. That is why we're here. We are dedicated to your well-being, and we take your health very seriously. We hope you do the same. And we want to thank Good Health Natural Foods, because without them, this forum would not be possible. Thanks to Ed Perry as well. Ed Perry keeps this ship straight ahead. Thanks to Ryan Stanton, of course, for giving us Pat's updates, keeping this program going smoothly as well. And we'd like to thank you for listening. This is Mark McCullough reminding you all, please be wise, be aware, be well, make it a healthy week. Good night.